early just to get us some pre-show banter going on this live as much as we can. How's it going out there, Brian? This is Bufftime podcast. Let me make sure I got everything straight. We just got done with the buff 'em up, so we'll do it like this. Let me see.
Things
On
are
this
things are
pre,
going well out here, though.
things are going well.
Yeah, it was a good
I'm
media
I'm
day.
I'm saying it like I'm surprised, but I'm actually not. All right. So everybody checking in right now. If you're checking in, y'all see that I'm just transitioning right now and making sure that we get into the Buff Time podcast. As Brian and myself will give you some of this Buff Time premium prime time talk right now. All right, we can start it right. This is where I'll officially cut
Yeah,
it off at or started at right here. So everybody checking in, y'all getting an official behind the scenes look of it. And Brian, you out there in Allegiant Stadium. But what time is it, baby? What time is it?
buff time.
It's Buff time, baby. Let's talk some premium prime time Buff talk. How's it going out there in the home of the Raiders?
It's good. It's been a fun day. I mean, as we expected, Colorado was the team that people came to see, and obviously everybody's here to. Every team gets their media share, but there's no question that the media throng was here to see Colorado.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I saw some pictures and everybody had the cameras up around Shador Sanders. It was like the rock stars are here. Everybody's here. The guys are here who we came to see, so to speak. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, all but one of them. Travis was supposed to be here, but was a no-show today. But Coach Prime was here. He wasn't at Pac-12 Media Day last year, and so he was here and did a great job. Shador was here. Shada was here, and the punter Mark Vassett was here as well. Very underrated interview, by the way. Yeah, it's clearly he does not. He's not going to get the credit of the Sanders, but Mark Vassett, really good interview, and he did a great job as well.
I think that's why Coach Prime made the decision to bring Mate. I think he loves Mate. He like
Yeah.
how articulate he is, and that was actually when I came on campus last year. That was the first person I ran into accidentally. I'm just walking down campus, just getting there. I see this 6'4" guy walking past me. I say, man, he's either a basketball player or something. But as he gets by, I'm like, wait, I know this guy. I see the back. I said, man, hold on, man. Let me holler at you right quick. He looked at me like,
Yeah.
who the hell is this guy? But shouts out to Mark and all the other guys that's there attending. Cam Rising, quarterback from Utah. I saw you talk to plenty of other guys out there. Anybody want to highlight anything that you got from some of the guys from the Big 12?
Yeah, today I didn't really talk to players from other teams as much. I did a lot of that yesterday, but today was really I focused on Colorado. But yesterday, able to talk to Brant Keithy, who tight end from Utah, who's really good. He's one of the best tight ends in the country when healthy, but he hasn't been healthy. He's missed a lot of games. He missed all of last year, most of the year before. But Buff fans know him because he's been a Buff killer in the past, and he's back and. He's one of the big reasons why Utah is projected to win this thing. And talk to Oklahoma State's quarterback Alan Bowman, great mustache, and he's uh, and he's the quarterback of a pretty good team as well. I chatted with all the Texas Tech guys over here because we're going to Lubbock, and so I had to find out, hey, is there a barbecue out there? And so they all gave me the same barbecue place, Evie Mays. So I know when I'm going to
That
Lubbock,
means
I'm
it's
going to try to
good.
get. That's right, and it's a place I did look it up, and this could be more for when we go to Lubbock, but it's only open from 11 to 3, and that tells you it's good. When they're only open for
Oh,
4 hours, that tells you it's good.
and they can sustain a whole business and only be open that what 4 hours a
Because
day?
they run out, of their meat,
Dang.
and so they close up for the day. So yeah, it must be pretty good.
That's that good meat. Pause. Put it in the comments. But
That's right.
yeah, if you. All right. So we, Adam and myself just talked about Shador Sanders, talked about Coach Prime
Yeah.
statements and things of that nature. What stood out to you from media pressers today that we might need to be talking about?
Yeah, I thought, for one, they were loose. They looked comfortable. Last year was interesting at Pac-12 Media Day. Coach Prime didn't go, obviously. Travis and Shador were there and didn't really seemed comfortable to me. Like they didn't seem like they wanted to be there. And this is not a knock on them. It's just I just thought that was the vibe. It was just it felt weird. I mean, the whole vibe around the Pac-12 media day was weird last year, but this year, they seemed loose and they seemed like I don't know if they were excited to be there, but they were loose. Maybe it was because their dad was there with them, and Bucky's there obviously, so it was a family affair. But I loved how loose they were and they're just confident, and there's a good vibe around that team right now about how this team has come together in the offseason.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're actually correct. I saw Shador in the video they were making looking a lot more loose and just relaxed
Hmm.
rather than last year. I think it was more of their first time there. Coach Prime is not there, and then
Yeah,
you saw what Shador said today. With everything he's trying to accomplish, he can rely on his dad for any advice or anything that he can go back on and ask about because he's already been there. He's led us this far. We're going to continue to let him lead. I like that
yeah,
what he said about himself because a lot of guys get grown, as his nickname is, but
yeah,
they'll start, as my elders used to say, they'll start smelling themselves. They'll start smelling their
right,
own stuff and feeling like and feeling like hey, I got it from here, so to speak. So it was
yeah.
great to hear Shador say that and then have you break it down like that.
Well, and I will add too that last year at media day, they're being led around by one SID who had just started. Like he literally just got to see you. And then the other one had been there a while, but they're still getting to know him. So I think they were sort
Yeah,
of being led around by guys they didn't really know yet either. And so I think that just the
yeah,
whole surrounding and the people they're with, they're more comfortable. And I think that helps. And um, I don't know if it's a microcosm for this team, but I truly believe that the fact that they've been in Boulder for a year now, they've played a season, they've been in Boulder a year and a half, but I truly believe that just second year, the core group, and I know everybody talks about the transfer portal, we get all that, but there's a core group that's back. And I think
yeah,
that's huge when you've got, 25, 30, whatever it is, key players that are back. They've been in Boulder for a year now, and they can teach other guys what it's like to be in this program. I think that helps. And I don't, they might downplay it a little bit. I asked a couple of them about it, and they said, maybe a little bit, but I think that's a huge deal.
I agree. I think it is also. Even though you being a player in it, I don't know if you might can identify it immediately, but from the
Mhm.
outside looking in, you can see their mannerisms
Yep.
and just understand as an older person, with that experience of being somewhere, you get a lot more comfortable. And with them being in Boulder, like you said, a year plus, know what to expect, know how the weather pattern is, know the people here. They can trust this person, they can trust that person. It's just a lot more understanding of what to expect and what's going on around them, which can make
Yeah.
them a lot more comfortable, I think. Same way if
Well,
you're
and also,
driving in the car, I was
yeah,
going to, not to cut you off, but the same way you're driving in the car, like Uncle Neil like to say, if you know where you're going, you'll
yeah,
drive a lot faster than rather if
yeah.
you don't know where you're going. You're going to turn the radio down and drive slow, and look around. So it's a lot different.
Well, let me, I'll talk about Shiloh real quick, and you may have, we're going to ask about this, but speaking of the off season, think about the difference last year to this year. Shiloh last off season, he wasn't here the first 6 months. Remember, he was finishing up at Jackson State,
Yep. Yep.
and he was still transitioning from Jackson State, getting his degree there, and going to Colorado, and just really getting acclimated to the team in the summer last year, and then went through the season. Whereas this year, he talked about, man, I did some snowboarding this off season, and how he loves Colorado, and he's how he's been around doing a lot of seeing the mountains, things like that, and just enjoying. He's been able to relax a little bit and enjoy an off season more so than he got to last year. And so I just think that's one example, but I think that there's probably a lot of guys like that. I mean, you look at Shane Cokes, Levonta Bentley, you could go on and on. All these guys that last year were transitioning to Colorado and trying to hit the ground running, to whereas now they've been able to relax and
Yeah.
and they're comfortable in their surroundings. I think that makes a difference.
I'll tell you something that Shiloh said on the Well Off video that kind of tells the story in my opinion. He was like, "Hey man,
Yeah,
I'm ready to get back home," and he wasn't
yeah,
referring to Texas. He was referring to Boulder. And you don't see a lot
yeah,
of people saying they're ready to get from Miami back to Boulder where it's colder and getting busy. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah,
to see him say he's going back to Boulder, he's happy, excited to go back to Boulder. I think that shows a lot also about how comfortable they are in Boulder and loving it, actually.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And they talked about that and how much, and you can just see the banter between the two brothers when they sat and did a breakout session next to each other, and they're always fun to do that together. But they were talking about Colorado and just how much they love it there, and so yeah, it is home for them now, and I think that's a big deal. They can downplay it a little bit, and I know they did, but and obviously there's bigger factors, and I agree with them in that it's how you play and if you can trust on the field, things like that. But I do think when you're comfortable where you're living, that's a big deal.
Exactly. Tell us some things that we might not know about, some things you might have experienced or seen out there as we take a quick little break. Tell us some things about whether it's the stadium you're in, Las Vegas. I know you've been there several times, but what are some things we
Yeah.
might not know about that you might have seen or experienced that's going on?
Yeah, well, this is my first time inside this stadium. I've seen it from the outside. It looks like a Roomba from the outside. Those
Yeah,
vacuums. But from the inside,
it
uh,
does.
you from the inside, it's a pretty cool stadium. It's a really nice place. I like it in here. It's obviously it's big, but last year I went to Big 12 media day at AT&T Stadium in Dallas, and that was massive. This feels a little more intimate, but really cool stadium. And obviously it's super hot. I mean, it's I think 115 degrees, and it's an interesting note that uh, I think the Buffs were supposed to have. So uh, they rode in Coach Bryant's private jet out here this morning,
Mm,
and they were planning on leaving around 4:30 or so Vegas time, but they can't take off if the
it's too
temperature
hot.
is above 113 degrees, and so they may have to wait until the evening when the tarmac cools down a little bit, and so they may have to be in Vegas a little bit longer than they expected. But yeah, that's how hot it is. I mean, it is. This is earlier this week they set the all-time record for Vegas, so it is sizzling here.
That is crazy. Yeah, I know how it is up there. Coming there for family reunions during this time of year. Woo, super hot. Shouts out to Warren Lones who
Yeah.
sent in a question saying, "What do you think about the media day setup compared to last year's media day?"
Well, it depends on if you're asking Big 12 to Big 12. I went to both Big 12 and Pac 12 last year. From Pac 12 Media Day was nothing compared to this. And, uh, it's similar to Big 12 last year. The Colorado was not in, but I went down there, and in that it was set up at AT&T Stadium, on the field like we are now. So very similar setup, and it's a nice environment down here. Uh, a lot of room to kind of walk around and mill around and talk to players. Pac-12 Media Day, where Colorado was last year, was in a nightclub in a Vegas hotel. I don't even remember which one it was, but just very small setting, and it was one day, and let's just cycle through players and coaches. And this is a much better setup and feels more Power Five, Power Four than last year did, obviously.
I'm gonna say
You're on.
nice, nice.
There you go.
I can see that you're there in Raider Stadium. I'm sure you're coming from the country of Bronco land or Bronco country, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
There, make sure I get it right. But how does it feel being in enemy territory, so to speak?
Well, it's funny. I have a good friend of mine that's a Raiders fan, and I posted a picture of being in here the other day, and my friend commented, look, that looks like a place where champions play, and I had to quit back at him. I said, yeah, the Pac-12 title game was here just a few months ago. Just pointing out that the Raiders are certainly not the champions that
Right.
play here, and so, but the Raiders do have a nice place. They got some work to do on this field, that's for sure, because it's seems a little beat up, but they got time
Mm.
to do that. But it's a nice place. I you know
But isn't
I
that
like to see
artificial turf though?
it is, yeah. But I
So
mean, it's
still
kind
beat
of
up.
there's some creases in it. I don't know if it's just a matter of tightening it up, but there's some creases in it, things like that. Like you would not want to play a football game on here right now.
Oh dang. All right. Could you see? Ask the question that people are asking out there. Y'all let me know in the comments if you got any questions. Put them in the comments right now while we're here. I'll get to that one in a second. But can you see the current Colorado quarterback, Shadur Sanders, possibly playing in that stadium next year wearing that silver and black.
Yeah, definitely. And Coach Prime was asked that, and he goes, "Hey, I'd love it." And but he did say, because he's a big fan of Antonio Pierce, the coach
Antonio
here,
Pierce, yeah.
and he did say, he said, "I'd love to see Shador play here." He goes, but he goes, frankly, I hope that they're not bad enough that they are in a position to draft Shador.
Mm,
So because he wants his friend to win and
right.
be successful as a head coach. But I think that the way he responded, they would love Vegas. I mean, we see him well off. The Sanders love coming to Vegas, and they spend time here. So this is a
Yeah.
spot that they enjoy coming to, and you definitely see, Shador. He looks good in silver and black, or in black and gold. So why
Yeah.
wouldn't he look good in black and silver? So I think he
Exactly.
would look good here.
We mentioned briefly Travis Hunter is not there, although he was set to be there. You have Shiloh Shador and Mark Vassett there
Yeah,
along with Coach Prime. Coach Prime wasn't there last year. It was just Shador and Travis. Looked like they had to go through a grueling media marathon there. And now this
yeah,
year, a lot more comfortable, like you said. And Coach Prime is there, but Travis is not there. So I guess you can't get all of them in the same room or on the same jet at one time, so to speak. But with Travis not being there, um, my question is, projected as being the top player in the Big 12 this year, what are some outlooks, for Travis Hunter this year coming up?
yeah. I mean, I think the sky's the limit. With him, and that. We've talked about it. I think all of us try to put some limits on him, or some of us try to put some limits on him because we've never seen somebody do what he does. And I look at him and I think, yeah, at some point he's going to have to like give up one side of the ball and only play it part time because we've that's what Coach Prime did, right? And so and you don't see anybody go 100% both ways, but um, maybe he's one of these athletes that you just don't put limits on him and just let him go be Travis Hunter. We know that he's really good on both sides of the ball, and so uh, I think maybe as Buff fans, just enjoy it. That if he can play 100 snaps, 125 snaps, or whether he plays 60, I say enjoy it. A few years ago, Colorado had a receiver, Laviska Shenault, who's now in the
Yeah.
NFL, and he was injured a little bit, but um, he had to just enjoy the time that he was there because he was a phenomenal athlete, and I think the same with Travis Hunter. Whatever snaps he gets, whether it's 100, 125, enjoy every one of them.
Well, here's the thing that surprised me. I saw a mock draft for next year coming up, and it had, of course, Shador going 2, but had Travis all the way down at 9, and he was skipped over by the Denver Broncos. Any scenario where you could see that happening, where Travis Hunter, most shoot athletic, most versatile athlete in college football, playing right there, a few minutes from you down the street in your
Yeah.
backyard, and then you pass over him. Who did that mock
Yeah.
draft? Like, what are you thinking? Do
Well,
you see a scenario where Broncos could pass on Travis Hunter?
well, depends on what they need, I guess. But I don't know if it was the same mock, but I saw one where Travis was around there, and there was actually another corner picked ahead of him. I was like, no,
Uh, yeah,
that's not. Like, I don't see that. Like
the
to
kid from
me,
Michigan is good, but I don't think.
yeah,
Why would you go another corner? Let's say I do need a
right,
cornerback. Why would you go another corner? Why would you go some away from someone who could play multiple positions and be
right.
and is a turnover magnet? Like, what are you thinking?
And I was asked this the other day about where does Travis slot in the NFL, but position wise, I'm like, I don't know yet, and I don't think it matters. If I'm an NFL team, I want to draft Travis Hunter and then figure all that out later. I just
Right.
want him on my team, and
Yep.
then let's just figure out, does he fit at receiver? Does he fit at corners? Does he fit at both? You know, I would draft him early if I'm an NFL team just because I want that player on my team.
Most definitely. Any we got some quotes from Coach Prime. Of course, you can check that out on buffzone.com and buffstampede.com right now. He spoke on building a winning culture, and he actually kind of downplayed it, saying, "What's that mean? What is culture?" and all that stuff. And he said, "I
Yeah,
don't talk about culture that much, so that wasn't me." Um, is that an issue with some people who feel like culture is a big thing, or is he trying to break down that word so that it doesn't have so much power, so to speak. What do you think his thoughts uh, are on culture, and how does it break down to you?
Yeah, and I've heard him say that before in a press conference that he literally asked another reporter, it was months ago, what does that mean, culture? I think it was
Yeah,
CU's Media Day last August. And I know he knows what it means, but I do think that he's kind of, you know, he's trying to downplay a little bit and sort of say, hey, the bigger deal is, how do we know our schemes? How do we play together? But that's what works for them. I will say there's a couple teams in here that are projected to be at the top of this conference, Utah and Oklahoma State, that they absolutely have the culture. That's culture to me. 20 years, same head coach, and you know what you're getting with both those programs. I think when you're 2 years in, you don't have that yet, and that maybe you're trying to establish that, but I don't think that's the main factor right now. It's do you can you get along on the field and can you not make mistakes? And when the
I
coach tells you, here's what the play is, run the play.
yeah, I think he's going to come up with either he's going to eventually embrace the word once wins come, or he's going to come up with something else that's going to mean the same thing, but it's going to be a different word
Right.
because
Yeah.
everybody else said coach. I don't want to say the same thing. Give me another word. Give
Right.
me there
Right.
got to be a multitude of words that can
Right.
mean the same thing. Give me a synonym. What is it called? Synonym. Give me a synonym, dog.
Right.
That goes because I don't want to say the same thing that everybody's saying. I can see him doing that, but that's that's trendsetter. Maybe you could be a trendsetter, Coach Prime, but what he's going to be essentially setting up is a way of doing things, which is going to be a culture, and I think it's going to eventually be a winning culture and a culture that's going to
Yeah.
propel people to be better and to push them to the NFL or to be professionals in other ways. I like how he opened up
Yeah.
the press conference by giving certain pointers, talking about you know his winning is different from everybody else's winning. I can't go out there and win football games, but then be losing in the classroom, or vice versa. So
Yeah.
his standard is way different from the next man or the next coach, which is what he pointed out, which is what I understand also because there's so much scrutiny, so many eyes, so much critiquing going on around him that he has to be on point with the schoolwork, with the process, should I say, with the whole process and the
Yeah.
results.
Well, and the one thing he's always been consistent with is he talks about how much he enjoys mentoring young men and raising young men, not necessarily football players. And to do that, yeah, you have to win at those other things. And he said the same things to me when I interviewed him um, in Atlanta before the Celebration Bowl a year and a half ago. He talked to me about those same exact things and said, they're going to win. Uh, I don't want my players in jail. I don't want to win 11 games, but I got five guys in jail, or
Right.
getting girls pregnant that they shouldn't be getting pregnant. He would say things like that, and and he was showing me in that when I talked to him that day, he was showing me how he's got reports for grades every single day, and there was a couple guys that he either left home or had to send home that were defensive starters that he wasn't going to let play in the bowl games because they didn't have the grades. And so he's preached that, and when he has that consistent message, yeah, you have to make sure you're winning on all those points.
That was one thing I was surprised about finding out and seeing that when I asked about a player once and he was able to go right to his file and pull up his current grades and what he was doing and the amount of times he
Hmm.
might have been late or what, I was like, oh, he on top of this, man. He's on top of a
Yeah,
lot of things that a lot of people don't know about and wouldn't believe that him being a celebrity would be on top of and just be privy to. That's why he has such a great staff around him. I think that shows the ability of a great leader, a great boss, as a CEO or a head coach, is to be able to delegate and also put the people around you that get the things done correctly, efficiently, and in a timely manner.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for
So
sure. And yeah, and that day in Atlanta, he showed me on his text. He showed me the text from the academic coordinator. Hey, here's the updates, and so yeah, he's on top of all that stuff.
most definitely. All right. Won't stay on too long, guys. Just want to give you a quick Bufftime podcast update coming to you live from Las Vegas, the Media Day, day two, where Coach Prime and the Young Buffs just took the stage. And for Big 12 Media Day, that's going to be the last time we'll see them in its capacity with Coach Prime and his sons like this. So, historic type, legendary type moment you guys got to witness like that, and everybody else out there. So give a few shout outs to some people or some staff members or media people that you might have seen out there that you want to shout out, Brian.
Yeah, thanks a lot to Curtis and Herman from the SID staff that really helped facilitate some of the interviews um,
Yeah.
and
Shouts out to
and
Curtis and Herm. Shouts out to him.
yeah, and especially Herman, who's he was the guy that last year was brand new. Like
Brand
Pac-12
new.
Media Day was like his first thing, and today he was great with me. He's the one that helped me get one-on-one interviews with Shador and Shiloh, and so I appreciate him and hey, shout out to Bucky who was here chronicling it all, and I'm sure it'll be on Well Off Media, but he's that guy's working as hard as anybody running around with that camera, so shout out to him as well.
A lot of people don't realize how hard work it is to be a videographer and to be consistent and on top of things like that, to get the footage
He
and to edit the footage and put it out there.
he was the one Sanders that I never saw sitting down or stopping. And Bucky was always moving,
Yeah,
doing something because he had to follow around three different guys. So
for sure.
yeah, he's working hard.
All right, shouts out to the pregame show, Uncle Neely. Shouts out to Reach the People Media with Darius Sanders and Well Media with we call him Lil Prime or Young
Yeah.
Prime, Bucky, Deion Sanders Jr. So, all right, we're gonna have more Buff Time podcasts for you guys as we're ramping up now in the season. It's officially football season in my books. So stay tuned for more as we will be breaking it down to you, giving you premium prime time Buff Talk right here on Buff Time Podcast with Brian and Chico. Y'all know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe, comment, and all the other good stuff. We're going to be up and about this thing. Peace in the Middle East. Yeah.
Take care, guys.
Take care.